Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday Telo Youth Educational Webinar. Today's topic is super immunity with super ingredients. We have Dr. Tina Johnson and Dr. Chris Morris with us today. They are internationally renowned educators, speakers, and naturopathic practitioners, and the formulators of our life-changing products, Telo Youth and Surya News Serum. Good morning, Dr. Chris and Dr. Tina.
Good morning, Bernard, and good morning, everyone out there and listening and viewing land. And hello, Dr. Tina.
Hey, hi there, Dr. Chris. Hello, Bernard. Thank you for the introduction and welcome, everyone. Today is really important because we're focused on the immune system, and I'm having to take a deep breath because very, very close people that are very, very close to me are now being affected with what we're dealing with here on a global basis with this pandemic. And so we're going to get into and talk about the immune system today, because we really, really need to make sure our immune system is being taken care of. So what do we have here as far as our challenges? You know, we've come from centuries and centuries of all kinds of exposures, and the first thing that we have here is environmental toxicity. Unfortunately, these things are more prevalent than they have been in the past. You know, from modern day chemicals that are now leached into our food, our air, our water, the electromagnetic frequencies. We have exposures that are off the charts. We do have invasive microbes, and we've always been exposed to these. But with the overload of the toxicity, some of these other things like our metabolic imbalances, our nutritional deficiencies, we just see such a cascade effect going on where these invasive microbes they have the ability to get into the body and wreak havoc. And so we want to talk a little bit today, especially about what's happening out there globally with this pandemic and how can we really build our system. And we're going to give you some stories, some real life stories of how people are exposed to the COVID or the coronavirus, and they have little or no issues. So right now, I'm in the Midwest, I'm in Minnesota, and we're getting hit pretty hard. You know, we've got Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, all getting really hit. And just in the US alone, there's been over 10 million cases that have been reported of the coronavirus and over 240,000 deaths. And I don't say this to get everybody into a fear. We don't want to go into fear at all. We want to be very smart. We want to be very diligent about what we can do to build our immune system. And when we look at the states, Texas is number 1, California is number 2, Florida is 3, New York, and then Illinois with the highest cases so far. But we have lots of population going on there, and we also have some other things with EMFs that we'll talk about. So it's really important because we are all going to be exposed. Every single one of us has either been exposed and we don't know it, or we will be exposed to the virus. And so we need to take the precautions as necessary as possible. But look at all these other issues that really challenge our immune system. When we look at nutritional deficiencies, our microbiome, that is our gut. That's where we, have the belly that needs to process our foods and elimination. And there's so much there with the microbiome that we've assaulted with all of these toxicities and deficiencies. And then people have low-grade inflammation that happens. And this is where we don't even know that we have inflammation. Our mind turns it off and we just kind of deal with it. But low-grade inflammation is really very challenging for our immune system. And then we have poor mitochondrial function, where we end up with low to no energy. And we've talked about this before. You know, we say, oh yeah, I'm old now, I don't have any energy because I'm old. And that is not true. We age because we lose the ability to make energy. So energy is really, really important. Our mitochondrial function is extremely important, and all of these things matter. So Dr. Chris, do you want to add anything here before we move to the next slide?
Well, let's go into the next slide because we can see a little bit of a pictorial of the immune system. It's truly a dynamic system that's remarkable in its ability to adapt. And you just showed all these different challenges and stressors. Well, when it isn't overwhelmed, it has the ability to actually learn and grow and develop, adapt to the environment. So what makes it so special and unique is that it has a circulatory system without a pump like the cardiovascular system. We always talk about the blood circulatory system. Well, the immune system goes through the lymphatics, which goes to every cell in the body. It has an intelligence without a central brain like the central nervous system, because it signals through energy and signal molecules that flow throughout the body. So it doesn't have any connection like a nervous system that we're used to with this divine intelligence that it has. And as I said, it's connected to every cell in our body through the lymphatic system. And let's take a look at all the different parts. So you see the lymph nodes and the lymphatic vessels. That's what we mean by the lymphatic system. The tonsils and the adenoids, they're part of that system. So when you have a sore throat or that nasal drip, and this is impacted by the immune system response and the inflammation that occurs and all the dynamics of the symptoms from that experience. So you see that throughout the lymphatic system, and the lymph nodes are like the little depositories that gather the poisons that the lymph drains and latches onto as it cleans out the cells. Then you see the immune system has an innate response. This means it's first level defense response. And this comes from the immune cells that are circulating the macrophage, the natural killer cells, the T cells. So your bone marrow actually makes these cells. The stem cells in your bone marrow make these immune cells, and they mature in the thymus, and they're filtered through the spleen. The spleen is like a large lymph node that works in the body that supports the entire immune system. Then you have the GI tract, and inside the GI tract, not only is the microbiome there as a protective layer, but you have Peyer's patches. These are very specific, let's say, lining of the small intestine that is a very powerful immune defender and part of the immune system. So just think about the outside comes inside to the digestive tract, as we put food that is full of foreign substances, and our first line of defense from this tremendous invasion that comes through our mouths and our nose, and that's all part of what the immune system is in the GI tract. And then you see the different parts of the system are the first line of the defense that we've described, but also you have the adaptive part of the immune system. And this is where you develop the antibodies. This is the second level. And those antibodies are, again, made by the stem cells in the bone marrow. So you see how important that bone marrow is. And all these different parts work together synergistically. It's like just a grand orchestra that is in touch, that signals throughout the body and how it's going to defend itself. Dr. Tina, anything you want to add to this diagram here?
Sure. When we eat something that is, less than healthy, let's say, like, for instance, if you're going to eat vegetables that have glyphosates or fruits that have the glyphosates, or you have sugar, those are assaults on the system. We have disconnected from our bodies as a culture. And I think what's important to notice is that really pay attention after you eat something. How is your body responding, or after you've been exposed to something? Because it's almost like you could sense maybe your body heats up or feels like it's warmer than usual. That's your immune system. That's your adaptive immune system kicking in, and it's working on cleaning up what you just put into the body. And a lot of people get really warm at night, and the immune system goes in and starts cleaning up and scavenges at night as well. And sometimes we can feel like we have like this low grade fever, or we get really, really warm, or we feel like we have these night sweats. But that's the immune system that is working.
Exactly. And it's one of the things we take for granted. And that's why I really appreciate what you're saying as far as to, take a little extra notice of what's going on in your body to help you understand what's good for you and what's not.
Oh, aren't we? We are such a culture that will override, how our body feels after we eat or drink something, and just kind of put it on the back burner and not really pay attention to it. And we're really trying to get back into this present moment, the mind body connection, and being conscious and aware in every single moment, because every moment matters. And so right now I want to talk a little bit about our foundational technology. How did we evolve? And we tend to take this for granted, how this technology has come to be, because we're so accustomed to it. Dr. Chris, myself, and Bernard, we've been with this technology for a long time. And in 1929, Dr. John Ralston in Canada, he discovered the great benefits of the fertilized tissue extract. And this is the fertilized egg white that has been extracted on the 9th or 10th day and is then freeze dried and used. And back in 1929, in many clinical studies, Dr. Davison was actually curing tumor cancer cells by injecting this white fertilized tissue extract, egg white, into tumor cells with vitamins and minerals and dissipating these cancer tumors. And his technology kind of died in one way when he did. About 4 years later, he passed, and it just kind of stayed buried until 1995 in Norway. Dr. Escalon, who became very good friends with us, he refined the process of the fertilized tissue extract and was able to take the technology even a little bit further and do some clinical research and studies. And those are found in our back office so that you can go there and take a look at those, some on depression. But this technology was first used with Dr. Escalon to help men with libido, to help their libido get better. And so women in Norway were saying, well, wait a minute, if my husband has better libido, can't I take this egg white and help my libido as well? And so because it's a whole food extract, the women were given this fertilized tissue extract and their libido got better. But one of the side effects that he had noticed that he was telling us is that, they're not depressed anymore. And it's interesting because he started to do some studies and found that, yes, this fertilized tissue extract also helped with depression. And again, those studies are in your back office in the library. So to fast forward, in 2011, Dr. Escalon then began exporting this fertilized tissue extract into the United States for commercial use in formulas. Dr. Chris and I became very involved with this ingredient at this time, and so did Bernard. And 2016, to fast forward, TeleYouth was founded by Bernard, and then we really took this science of the signal molecule technology and looked at how can we partner this ingredient with other ingredients to really help the rejuvenation process in the body. And that's in 2019. Dr. Chris and myself, we began formulating TeleYouth and synergistically brought these 6 ingredients together. So not only are we a rejuvenation company, we work on the immune system, we modulate stress. There's so many different variables we're so exposed to that we wanted to make sure we were looking at a multidimensional way to be able to support our body, our mind, our emotions. And now we're in the 3rd generation of this formula and added in the highly concentrated aloe vera gel extract. And it actually is one of the super ingredients that we'll talk about a little bit further. Dr. Chris, do you have anything to add as we move into the next phase here on the
I
next
do.
slide?
I just wanted to share with everyone what a gift in our lives it was to work personally with Dr. Escalon, develop a relationship with him and his family and friends, and there in Norway. And it gave us insights into, when we met him, some 20 plus years of the ingredient. And so he helped us understand the manufacturing process, how it had to be handled, how to maintain its bioavailability. It's just not a powdered egg. This is a very unique extraction process and manufacturing process that goes on to give it its bioavailability. And so we learned from the professors of immunology and the professors of food sciences that taught us all about the signal molecules and how to make this formula. So I appreciate that background information.
Yes, and it's super. This ingredient is just, we can't even express how profoundly different it is from other ingredients on the market, and how profoundly powerful it is to help our bodies to rejuvenate.
Right. It's like the science is catching up with nature. Dr. Davidson was ahead of his time, and this ingredient is still ahead of its time even today after almost 100 years. Yeah. So here you see how it works with the immune system, the immune signaling that goes on. And we're trying to give you a little graphic here. So you have we have trillions of cells in our body, and our immune system is connected to every one of those cells. And when it sends out a signal that it's damaged or traumatized in any way or needs to be replaced, it sends out those signals. And here's a little bit of the chain reaction that happens with the ingredients. You have the marine collagen that is the not just the glue, the collagen that holds our cells together, but it creates a defense mechanism so that any foreign substance can't even penetrate get to the cells, because you have this tightly knit defense that's created with the collagen. And then the actual response that the immune system gets triggered when some foreign invader is exposed to the cells. And you see here the aloe vera gel extract and the chaga and the rhodiola. This is our innate response. This is the response that tells our defense system how it's going to. And then after it understands what the invader is, it does a couple things. It educates the immune system on how to maintain its defense from this foreign invader, and also to modulate that response, because it kicks in an inflammatory response. And this is a healthy response of a defense mechanism. But if you don't turn it off appropriately, it doesn't allow the repair to happen. It doesn't allow the body to regain its balance. So you see these 3 ingredients are very key to the modulation, upgrading of the defense and the downgrading of the defense for the repair mechanism to be more efficient. And then to facilitate the repair and regeneration, we have the fertilized tissue extract and the L-arginine. Both of these play a key role in facilitating the stem cell response for repair, and also for the overall reestablishing of the balance and harmony for the body. So it can not only just repair, but actually regenerate and go back to its vitality.
And when we look at this, I mean, it's so much more complex than what we have here, but we're trying to help you understand how tellouth plugs into this immune signaling, supporting it, repairing it, modulating it, defending, all of the things that are necessary with our immune system.
Right, and how these ingredients work together. That's something that's a key component in formulation. So let's see what it looks like live. We have just a really special video that takes a look at that first response, that innate response, and it shows the natural killer cells and macrophage, how they would attack a foreign invader. And the teleuth enhances this whole process. And we actually have seen it with slides. One of our practitioners, George, has helped us to show how within 45 minutes, you see the activation of this process. So let's see if we can key up the video here, Dr. Tina.
Neutrophils are white blood cells that hunt and kill bacteria. In this spread, a neutrophil is seen in the midst of red blood cells. A Staphylococcus aureus bacterium has been added. The bacterium releases a chemoattractant that is sensed by the neutrophil. The neutrophil becomes polarized and starts chasing the bacterium. The bacterium, bounced around by thermal energy, moves in a random path, seeming to avoid its predator. Eventually, the neutrophil catches up with the bacterium and engulfs it by phagocytosis.
I love those sound effects, right?
A little background humor.
Neutrophils are white blood cells that...
There we go. Sorry about that. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we go into this slide?
But you just see, again, this happens every moment of our lives within the bloodstream and the lymphatic system with trillions and trillions of cells. So it's quite remarkable when you just see it in this tiny little demonstration.
Well, and Dr. Chris, can you talk a little bit about when we do get infected with the virus, how that could affect the macrophages at all?
Sure. The neutrophils, natural killer cells, macrophages, all those defense cells, they are throughout the body. And as soon as a foreign invader comes in, they not only alert themselves to attack it, but also signal to the rest of the defense cells of the immune system to go into action. And this is why that first response is a all-out, throw everything at it that you can that's available. And why individuals that don't have a healthy immune system, they turn on this first line of defense that is non-discriminatory, meaning it's just foreign invader, go after it, and let's throw everything at it. And it can cause an overreaction. And this is what oftentimes we hear about as a cytokine storm. And this is because that first response never gets tampered down or is overwhelmed because you don't have enough of an immune system to handle that first response before the antibodies are made, which takes a few days later. And that's the second line of response. It's more surgical. It's very specific. It goes in and identifies the foreign invader because now it knows what it is. It knows how to attack it and what kind of antibodies are used. And this is vaccine technology. This is what they're trying to develop. But our body does it naturally. And teleuth supports the first line of defense so that it does it more efficiently, and also the second line of defense so that it can do the antibody manufacturing much more efficiently, as well as control the response so that it doesn't get out of control. It modulates it.
Great. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so we've talked about EMFs before. We're all exposed to electromagnetic frequencies. 4G, to give you an example here, 4G is like a 2-lane highway. But now as you're seeing the big push for 5G is it's like an 8-lane highway without speed limits. It's so much more intense. what we're being exposed to. And this EMF exposure, this excessive EMF exposure, is wreaking havoc on our cells. We're ending up with cellular dysfunction where we're not able to process our B12. We have these excess free radicals, and we have larger amounts of calcium that is infused into our cells, which is not healthy. And we just want to talk a little bit about this because with this radiation that we're being exposed to, this is really interfering with our immune system. If we were to look at this just overall, this is just taxing our overall immune system. And there's been updated studies now that are showing that cellular phone use and the risk of tumors, it's been proven that there have been issues here with this. And this has been posted on November 2nd, 2020, the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health published an open access article called Cellular Phone Use and Risk of Tumors. And they analyzed data from 46 case control studies that looked at the relationship between cell phones and cancer. Now, remember here, 4G versus 5G and the new 5G phones that are coming out, it's exponential of what we're going to be dealing with here. And there's been significant evidence linking cellular phone use to increased tumor risk, especially among cell phone users with cumulative cell phone use of 1,000 or more hours in their lifetime. Okay. Now, that's not a lot of hours in a lifetime when you think about it. And people who have logged in this much with cell phone use had a 60% increased risk of developing brain tumors. So we need to be really aware of what is happening. And there's also, some simple ways that we can reduce our risk of this exposure. And the first one is, obvious, spend less time on your cell phone. And number 2, use a speakerphone, but keep the phone further away from your head. If you can keep that phone at least a foot away, you're going to mitigate some of that exposure. Keep it away from your body when you're not using it. Don't have it stored in your pocket. Women, please do not put your cell phone in your bra. I see young girls doing this and I just go, please take that out of there. And keep it away from your skin. And texting instead of talking actually is better. As much as I don't like texting, and I think it's very transactional versus being personal when you're speaking to someone on the phone, it's safer to be texting. Obviously, take your tele-youth, because what we're doing is we're protecting we're building our immune system, protecting our cells. Our chaga mushroom is rebuilding the melanin in our system, and it's converting some of this harmful radiation into energy. And chaga mushroom has been proven to do that. The other thing that is being exposed here is that the environment, when we're looking at COVID-19 in Wuhan, this is the site where COVID-19 originated. It was chosen to be China's first 5G smart city. And this is the location of the country's first 5G highway in Wuhan, China, because they were intending to have self-driving vehicles and test them there. So with this incredible exposure and this intensity with 5G, it's truly, truly affecting our immune system. So we just need to be able to be smart and do things that will help us mitigate that exposure, because we will be exposed. We're all going to be exposed to 5G. It's just, what can we do to offset that? And tele-youth helps tremendously by rebuilding your immune system with cellular health at that cellular level. And then again, with the chaga, mitigating that 5G exposure. Dr. Chris, would you like to add anything as well?
Just to say, bottom line is that this this photo, this slide is just telling you that your terrain, your tissue integrity of your body is being compromised. So we're accelerating the aging and we're compromising the terrain. And when you compromise the terrain, you're more susceptible to any type of infection or foreign invader.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. So just to kind of wrap things up here, we're going to do a quick review of our ingredients. And these first three are the immune modulators, meaning that they help the body respond to a foreign invader, and then they also help to modulate it, to turn it off when that it's done its job of defending and protecting the body, and then goes into the healing and repair response. So the takeaway here is that with the aloe and the chaga and the rhodiola, they train the immune cells to recognize the foreign invaders more efficiently. So they educate, they help with this educational process that the immune system is constantly doing. It's updating itself and learning about its environment and what it has to do to protect. So these three ingredients facilitate that. And so look at your new brochure and it helps you understand each one of these ingredients more efficiently. And we've got a lot of stories of individuals that have taken the teleyouth and have been exposed to this specific pandemic that we're dealing with. Dr. Tina, do you want to share any of the stories that you're familiar with?
Sure. Yeah, and if you don't have any stories that are close to you now, you will. And we just have to be really aware of that. One thing I want to mention before, when you say that modulation ingredients, people are always wondering, well, I have an overactive immune system. And just to help you understand, if you do have an overactive immune system, this is these are adaptogens. So if it's overstimulated, it brings it back. And if it's understimulated, it brings it up. So interesting story. This is, her name is Ari, and she's 83. And she's a grandmother, and she was living with her second son's family. The husband and wife and all of the children got COVID. And they had to deal with, some of their very challenging symptoms. Well, Ari was the only one taking teleyouth. And at 83 years young, she did not get COVID. It protected her. It was a super, super protector for her. And she didn't even get COVID, although everyone else in the family did. They all recovered. But I believe now they are all taking teleyouth to keep their immune system strong. So that is one. And I love this story because she's 83. And we think of, some of the highest risk categories were 80 and older, right? Or 70 and older. So great story there. Dr. Chris, you have, we have a couple of friends there in Reno that you're directly connected to as well.
Right. They both have pre-existing conditions and they've got infected, and they're just responding beautifully to recover. So it just shows you how when we exercise the immune system with these ingredients, it really supports the body's ability to, recover, defend itself, recover. And one of the things I want to share on the aloe vera there at the top of your slide is that it's been known to be an adjuvant. And what that means is that it increases the ability for the body or any substance it's blended with to improve. So the vaccines that are used in the boiler industry, meaning the poultry industry, they add this specific component into their vaccines, and the vaccine improves from a 75% effective rate to over a 95% effective rate. So if you plan to receive the vaccine that's coming out, or the conventional approach that's going to be available to us here in the next year, having your teleyouth will actually improve the benefits of those vaccinations. This will work as an adjuvant within your body to make it more efficient. So not only will it build your body naturally, but it'll help any of the medical interventions be more efficient and effective. So I think that's important to know. And then here, the other three ingredients in our formula, they actually facilitate the repair response. They have the ability to really go in there. So you see the fertilized tissue extract, we talk about how it activates the stem cells, but also helps your body's immune system make the immune proteins. We refer to them as the cytokines. Well, these are the immune signal molecules. So the fertilized tissue extract helps the body make those so that you have the more efficient signaling. And of course, the super glue that just tightly knits all your cells together so that you have a stronger defense. And then what's special about the L-arginine and the FTE is that the arginine in both of these ingredients helps the body make nitric oxide. And that actually suppresses any type of viral infection. So if you go back into 2 weeks ago, we did a YouTube presentation that showed the study of how nitric oxide suppresses the spread of any type of viral, and specifically it was done with COVID-19. And so just know that taking our formula really enhances the body in so many ways. It's just multiple defense mechanisms that will support you in whatever you're being exposed to, and as far as stress. And this specific stressor that we're dealing with in the pandemic is very unique, but it's not unique to the body when it's taking TeleYouth. Dr. Tina, any closing thoughts?
Thank you. I do want to mention that Ari, the grandmother who was 83, she's on the rejuvenation program. So she was taking 16 of TeleYouth a day at the time when her system was so strong too. So.
And we have a lot of individuals that have no symptoms at all, but they're tested because of work or travel, and they find out that they've got the antibodies and they were infected, but never experienced any symptoms because they were on TeleYouth.
Absolutely. And we'd like you to know that this information is for presentation purposes only and educational purposes, and cannot be considered a substitute for any professional advice. We are not here to prevent, diagnose, cure, or treat any form of ailment. And it is strongly recommended that if you need health advice, to reach out to your qualified health professional. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Yes, thank you, everyone. And just take advantage of this wonderful tool you have.